It wasn't long ago when US radars detected something more unusual in the atmosphere of Utah. The strange thing about the unknown thing was its travel speed, as it was traveling at such a high speed of 300 kilometers per hour. Soon, helicopters were launched in the direction of the flying saucer, and everyone was astonished because the flying saucer was coming from outer space. After the flying saucer landed in Utah, NASA also quickly reached the location, but that saucer from outer space made an emergency landing in the desert of Utah. NASA did not provide any indication that extraterrestrial beings were involved in the incident. In fact, the damaged dish that was found buried partially in the sand of the desert was the capsule that was used to transport the crew of the Genesis spacecraft back to Earth. In addition to that, it was not supposed to land in such a violent manner. The Genesis mission was an ambitious effort undertaken by the space agency to send a spacecraft into the solar wind of our home star, collect samples, and then bring them back to Earth. The debris was a return sample capsule from the 2001 launched Genesis spacecraft, which crashed into the desert and became partially buried. Researchers thought that by studying the charged particles pouring from the sun's corona, they might more accurately identify the star's composition and provide insight into the components present during the formation of the planets in the solar system. The Genesis spacecraft was outfitted with a sample return capsule that contained a canister of solar wind materials. The Genesis craft spent 2 years orbiting Lagrange Point 1, which is one of the points in space where the gravity from Earth and the Sun is precisely balanced. In order to bring all the valuable natural samples back, the sample return capsule was equipped with a sample return capsule. Folding out a succession of collector arrays, each capsule was packed with high-purity materials like aluminum, sapphire, silicon, and even gold. The spacecraft was supposed to capture the solar wind and use it to power its systems. The landing was planned to go somewhat differently than it did. Around 127 seconds after re-entering the atmosphere, a mortar that was on board the capsule was going to explode, which would then release a preliminary parachute that would slow and stabilize the drop. After that, the main parachute was going to fill, and it was going to provide the capsule with a smooth landing on the Utah Test and Training Range. Neither of the parachutes opened successfully. The capsule was transported immediately to a clean room in order to prevent the samples from becoming contaminated. They had been put in place in the wrong order. These tiny devices were meant to measure the increasing G-forces the capsule felt, as it fell toward the Earth and set off the capsule's parachutes as a result. You can probably assume that the collision caused significant damage, including the destruction of many of the arrays and the contamination of the priceless cargo that was contained within them. As soon as the sample capsule was located at the tragic site where it had met its end, the team working on the project immediately began searching for anything else that may possibly be salvaged and analyzed. Even though the sample capsule arrived in such a great way, the Genesis mission was not a total failure. No matter what happened, researchers were able to clean the surfaces of the collectors without disturbing the solar material that was inside some of the more durable collector materials that still worked. As a result of the courageous expedition, scientists were able to get information regarding the composition of the sun, as well as the elemental variations that exist between our star and the planets that are closer to the center of the solar system. According to NASA, it was more difficult than we had anticipated. We have found some vital answers, and as is the case with all successful expeditions, these findings have also revealed fascinating new information about the early history of our solar system and its planets. That's all for today's video. What do you think of today's video? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section below. Thanks for watching. Bye.